Welcome to Chapter 6. As is often the case with the first video of the chapter, this one's a little long. There's a lot of vocabulary. We need to figure out what arithmetic and geometric sequences mean. The good news is that the patterns, the sequences you've seen, we're just going to learn some fancy words for this kind of thing. For example, what are sequences? A sequence is a list of numbers or things. We will often do things like triangles and things with toothpicks and stuff like that. That changes according to some sort of pattern. Okay, so we're talking about patterns going on here. Please make sure you write down all of this vocabulary. Vocabulary is so important. If you don't understand what a sequence is or what the different kinds of sequences are, then you will not be successful. And also, I tell you what to write down. You just have to write it down and then turn in your notes. That is the easiest points you can get, is notes. So we have different kinds of sequences, and we have different names for the parts of the sequences. So each number in a sequence, we call those terms. So we've got first term, second term, etc. And then if you've got the three little dots after it, it means it goes on forever. Okay, so we could keep going, but we don't have time for that. So we just put the three dots. It's an ellipses. You might have learned that in English class. And we might have an ellipses, and then instead of a number, like this is the first term, second term, third term, we might have an n. We call that the nth term. Okay, so there are formulas where we can figure out the nth term. So I might say, what is the 531st term? And you could put that into a formula and figure it out. We are going to skip the formula part right now. We might come back to it eventually, but for right now, we're going to skip those formulas. These two pieces of vocabulary, arithmetic sequences and geometric sequences, are huge. We're going to use these throughout Chapter 6, so you need to make sure you understand. So, yes, this word is arithmetic, right? The word we get math from, the word math from, okay? But for some reason, and I've never really understood why, when we're talking about sequences, we pronounce it differently. We say arithmetic. Of course, this isn't as big of a deal because right now we're not in class and I'm not hearing you say it. So that's good. So arithmetic sequences are where we add or subtract to get to the next value. Okay? Geometric sequences is when we multiply or divide to get to the next value. And yes, some of this will make more sense when we start to do examples, but make sure you're writing these vocabulary pieces down in your notes, because one, they need to be in your notes, and two, writing it down helps you learn. Okay? So arithmetic sequences is when we add or subtract to get to the next value. If our sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, we're adding 1 to get to the next value. So we add 1 plus 1, we get 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4, etc. Okay? And we call that the common difference. So the common difference is whatever you added. So we added 1 there, so our common difference is 1 or plus 1. Geometric sequences, again, we multiply or divide. So we might have something like this, where we're multiplying by 3 each time. So 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, etc. We could go on, right? And the number that we multiplied by is called the ratio. So our common ratio would be times 3. Again, you need to have all of this written down. Maybe go back, listen again to what I said. Today, we're going to look at patterns of numbers and try to figure out what that common ratio or common difference is. So for example, here's our, why is this not right? Here's our sequence, okay? So we need to look for the pattern. Well, to get from 2 to 7, we're going to add 5. From 7 to 12, we're going to add 5, etc. So each time we're adding 5, so we're adding 5, so it's arithmetic, which means we have a common difference of 5. Okay? And yes, please abbreviate as you answer these problems on your assignment. So here we're adding 2 each time, which means it's arithmetic, and we have a common difference of 2. If we were subtracting, we would have a common difference of -2. Okay? And then down here, we're multiplying by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, etc. And so that's a geometric, and we have a common ratio of 2. So these next examples, this is exactly what your assignment looks like. Okay, these are the different parts of your assignment. So all you have to do on these tables is figure out if it's arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Okay, as long as your x's are going up 1, 2, 3, 4, you know it's going to be one of these two things. Okay, or yeah. So really all you're looking at is the y's. All you care about is these y's. What are they changing by? So let's see, from 40 to 43, that's plus 3. From 43 to 46, that's plus 3. 46 to 49, that's plus 3. So we're adding 3 each time, so that's arithmetic. That's all you need to do on these table part, this table part. Okay? Now looking down here, from -34 to -26. Again, all you care about is the y's, really. From -34 to -26, I do believe that is adding 8, because we're getting less negative each time. -26 to -18, also adding 8. -18 to -10, adding 8. Use your calculator, especially if there's negatives. If you're confused, use your calculator, okay, to figure it out. So we're adding each time, so that is also arithmetic. All we're looking for on these tables is arithmetic or geometric, and feel free to abbreviate A, G, or N. Okay, so here, let's see. Again, we're trying to figure out arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Looking at our y's, 5 to 25, that's adding 20, but 25 to 125 is not adding 20. So let's see about multiplying. How do we get from 5 to 25? That's timesing, multiplying by 5. 25 to 125 is also jumping by multiplying by 5. 125 to 625, multiplying by 5. Again, use your calculator. Okay, so we're multiplying, so that would be geometric. Okay, one of the ways to kind of tell the difference between geometric and arithmetic, or when you first look at it, if you're trying to decide, am I adding, subtracting, multiplying, what am I doing? If your numbers are jumping a lot, like notice we go all the way from 5 to 625, just in those 4 numbers, that's probably multiplying, okay? Notice over here, we didn't go up very much. 40 to 49 in the 4 numbers, that's not very much. So that's probably adding, okay? That's one of the little clues that you can figure out as you're trying to figure out what the change is, okay? So this next one is a little bit trickier because we go from negative to positive to negative to positive, okay? If you go back and forth, it's gonna be multiplying or dividing, okay? Because what you're really doing is multiplying by a negative number. -4 times -3 gives you positive 12. Positive 12 times -3 gives you -36. Because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So -36 times -3 gives you 108. So again, we have geometric going on there. So let's look at these guys. So we're going up, not going up by a lot, right? So we're probably adding. So let's see, 1 to 3 is adding 2 or multiplying by 3, okay? Maybe think of both ways so we can see what's going on here. From 3 to 6, that's adding 3 or multiplying by 2. Well, that's not the same number, and that's not the same number. So what that means is it's neither. You have to be going up or down by the same amount each time, okay? So here, notice 4 to 16, that's a lot of jumps. So we're probably multiplying, but 4 to 16 is times 4. 16 to 36 is times, I don't even know what. Because 16 times 2 is 32, so that's just weird. So that's neither also, okay? So if there is no pattern, if you can't even figure out how to get from one to the other, like normally, then it's probably neither, okay? So then the next section of your assignment looks like this, where you need to decide, is it arithmetic, geometric, or neither? Is it a common difference, common ratio? And then what is that common difference, common ratio? Now here's the thing. You actually are going to figure this out first. You need to figure out what are the numbers going up or down by, okay, first. So -7, 21, that's a pretty big jump. So we're probably multiplying. And I happen to know that -7 times -3 would be 21. Negative times a negative is a positive, remember that. 21 times -3 is -63. And if you get out your calculator, -63 times -3 is 189. Okay, so let's answer our questions now. So if we're multiplying, that's a geometric sequence, which automatically means we have a common ratio. So if you say it's geometric, then it's a common ratio. If you say it's arithmetic, then it's a common difference, okay? And then all we have to do common ratio and then just put our -3. That's what our change was. You don't have to say multiply or divide because we know that if it's a ratio, then it means multiply or divide. Okay, so you just need to put the number there. All right, now then, here we go. So, to get from -29 to -34, I don't know. I like to look at my numbers and see if there's anything easier to figure out. Okay, so to me it's easier to figure out here. So -34 to -39, that looks like I'm subtracting 5. Because my numbers are getting more negative, so I must be subtracting. And then I'm going to go back here and say -29 minus 5. Oh yeah, that is -34. So each place here we're subtracting by 5, which means we have an arithmetic sequence because we're subtracting. So we have a common difference. Please feel free to abbreviate. And our common difference is -5 because we're subtracting 5 each time. And the last section on your assignment is basically you're doing it all plus you're figuring out the next few values in your terms in your sequence, okay? So again, the first thing you need to do is figure out what's happening. So notice we go from -729 all the way down to -243, right? Those are pretty big jumps there, which probably means we're dividing, okay? Now, without my calculator handy, I don't know what 729 divided by what would be 243, okay? But I do know, because I'm me and I like math and I know these things, I know that 81 divided by 3 is 27. So then I can go back, grab my calculator, and say, is 729 divided by 3 243? It sure is. I actually grabbed my calculator to make sure, okay? And notice that they're all negative, okay? So that means we're dividing by a positive because that's how they're all going to stay negative. If they were every other negative, then we'd be dividing by a negative, okay? But if I do by 3's, divide by 3 each time, okay, then I'm going to get the next thing. So then I can go ahead and figure out negative 27 divided by 3 is negative 9. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. So there I have figured out the rest of my sequence, okay, so that's this part, okay, and then it wants to know if it's arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Well, we divided, right, so it must be geometric, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you because this is a little bit different and I want to make sure we understand this. So that's a common ratio, and when we divide, we write our common ratio in a fraction, okay, and we divided by 3, so our fraction is 1 over 3. 1 over 3. Okay, so whatever you divide by, just put it under 1, call it a fraction, that's your common ratio. And then let's move on to number 14 here. Again, I'm sorry this video is so long. But it's the only one for the week, so that's exciting. So 63, 47, 31, 15, those look like kind of okay jumps, but at the same time, the smallest thing to divide by is 2, and 63 divided by 2 is not 47. So I don't think that's it. So we're getting less negative. So let's say we're adding. So I'm going to do 63 minus 47 and 16. So if I do negative 63, so in my calculator I'm going to do negative, oops, if I know how to use my calculator, negative 63 plus 16, and see, I do get negative 47. So then I'm going to try again. Okay, so again, what I did was I just subtracted those two numbers. I ignored the negatives, I just subtracted the two numbers to see what the difference was, okay? And then I double checked and made sure that negative 63 plus 16, because we're getting less negative, so plus 16 does equal negative 47. And then negative 47 plus 16 does in fact equal negative 31, etc. Okay? So then I'm going to do negative 15 plus 16, and what do I get? I get 1. 1 plus 16 is 17. 17 plus 16, I don't trust myself this morning, is 33. So those are the next three numbers like we're supposed to get. And then because we're adding, it's arithmetic. And I'm just going to add this. You don't have to do this on your assignment, but it's a common difference of 16. Okay, there you go. I think that's all I do have more, but I think we're good because this is the same thing that we were just doing. So we'll do some examples in class too while you're working on your assignment. Let me know if you have questions in Zoom chat.